Gas, water and food are not the only things in demand during a war. The moment the war bugle is sounded, weapons become the most prized possessions. Arms start selling like hotcakes. When soldiers march to the front line, the weapons they carry decide their fate. They decide who has the edge in the battle. You could say weapons decide who wins a war, or at least who gets to end it. Case in point, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we know what happened. And so it is with the war in Ukraine too. With every building that comes down in Ukraine, stocks of defense companies go up the world over. You may have heard of Lockheed Martin. It's an American company. It makes planes and weapons. Before the war in Ukraine began, Lockheed Martin's share price at the New York Stock Exchange was around $355. A month into the war, the company's share prices have risen to $453. The war triggered a 27% jump. Now, this company makes the FGM-148 fire and forget Javelin anti-tank missiles. It is one of the principal weapons being used by Ukraine against Russia. But this is not the only reason why Lockheed Martin's share prices are soaring. Consider Rheinmetall AG. It's a German defense company. Its weapons are not being used at the front line, not that we are aware of. But the company's share prices have jumped 143% in the last 2 months. What explains this? You see, what the war in Ukraine has done is remind the world that national security is non-negotiable, that a country's defense systems must be prepared at all times. Ukraine had to lean on allies and partners for weapons. Other countries do not want to be in that position. So they're stocking up. Romania, Sweden, Denmark, China, Poland, they've all announced an increase in their defense budgets. Experts say the United Kingdom, France and Canada could be next. They will also increase their spending on weapons. Where will this extra money flow? To the coffers of the defense industry. It is already worth nearly $500 billion. The war has led to a boom, a big jump in sales. The European Union has made an announcement. It will buy and deliver 450 million euros worth of arms to Ukraine. The US has pledged military aid worth $350 million, also 90 tons of military supplies. The sale is expected to grow further. The war in Ukraine has also triggered a shift in military policies. Germany, for instance, after the Second World War, remember, Germany had committed to pacifism. Well, not anymore. Germany has now decided to spend more than $112 billion on its military. Investors are betting on German companies like Rheinmetall. They hope to pocket a share of the profits from the purchase order. Also in demand are shares of BAE Systems, Saab AB Series B, General Dynamics Corporation and Leidos Holdings. Experts predict a rise in orders of weapons this year. They say military spending could go up by 50% in the next 5 years. Which countries will benefit the most? These 10 countries have a monopoly on the world's arms trade. The United States, Russia, France, Germany, China, Israel, Italy, South Korea, Spain, and the United Kingdom. These 10 countries account for 90.3% of the global weapons sales. 90.3%. Let that sink in. 10 countries. The first 5 countries alone sell more than 75% of the total arms. I'm talking about the US, Russia, France, Germany, and China. The second half sell more than 14% of the total arms. The rest of the world put together sells less than 10%. Where do you think India figures in the global picture? India sells 0.2% of the total weapons in the world. So every time a war breaks out, these countries, the ones marked in the map, stand to profit the most. But recently, Israel-based Haaretz published a report. It said that Israel's defense industry will be the early winner of the Ukraine war. Israel enjoys around 3% of the global arms sale, 3%. It is far behind the US or Russia, but this publication was right. Look at what today's headline says. Germany is considering buying a missile defense system, and they're looking at Israel's Arrow 3 system. This is how the economics of war works. And this is just one example. The larger story tells the bitter truth of war. It is bloody, but it's good for business. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.